Hello and welcome to Dreaming Live الحب الحب. Okay, so today we go to post World War II. Germany had lost the war, but Nazis were still everywhere. Youth movements were forming and fighting, protesting, demanding change. In terms of identity, many of these youth movements could no longer connect with the present, and so they began reimagining their identity, many of whom used art in search of one, and using diverse mediums in the search of this identity. Werner Herzog is one of the artists who came out of this movement. So there were filmmakers, there were all types of artists, and we also have musicians. Amongst these musicians were very early forms of electronic music. Still under the realm of rock, groups that were spread out, mostly disconnected from each other, but using electronic equipment in the search of a new identity. Despite the diverse spectrums of sounds created, they all became boxed into this one term, krautrock. Kraut being almost an insult the British used against the Germans, sauerkraut. So they called it kraut rock because they didn't know what else to call it. I hosted Hans Joachim Rodelius before, and today I host Damo. Damo is of Japanese origin, but while in Germany he joined the band Can. Other bands in that movement include Tangerine Dream, Amondol, Popalva, Cluster, Neu, Kraftwerk, La Düsseldorf, and so on. And it's important to realize how important these were to the history of electronic music. They helped pioneer so many different styles of music today. For example, Kraftwerk were one of the biggest influences to artists in Detroit and Chicago who pioneered house, techno, and electro. Artists like Konrad Schnitzler and Cluster, I can hear powerfully Konrad Schnitzler, especially in music of Throbbing Gristle and in very important songs like Hamburger Lady, for example. I maybe I'm wrong, but I hear very, very, very strong influence. And from Throbbing Gristle, came Chris and Cozy, Coil, and so many diverse movements from there, and later Muslim Gauze. So I think UK industrial is obviously also very inspired by krautrock. Many newly pioneered sounds were inspired by krautrock, and you see, we're talking about different sounds here. We're talking about industrial, we're talking about house, we're talking about techno, and you see how these movements feed each other despite them being so different. This is why I say when you study music like as the history, as a story, you realize that genres are lies. Because, for example, Detroit techno was directly connected to Kraftwerk, and much more so than techno in some other part that's just completely formulaic. So between krautrock and techno, there are closer connections than between some techno and some other techno. So genres are lies, and music as movements. Anyway, so there's a great documentary on BBC about krautrock. It is one of my favorites. I think it is the most of anything that I've ever watched. Maybe that and Curb Your Enthusiasm, but that documentary especially, and I can recite it by heart. So I will start by playing a glimpse of it where they speak about Can. They speak about how they met Damo. And another thing I love here is how the drummer Jackie, who was an amazing jazz drummer, started to intentionally play monotonous rhythms. You see, today we have drum machines. You can build a pattern and repeat it, and it will repeat forever. But Jackie at the time had to have an epiphany to play manually monotonous rhythms. And I love how he describes coming to that epiphany. Anyway, so I will play a clip, and then I will play one of the most famous songs that I love very much, Vitamin C. Then I will play my discussion with Damo, and finally some of his newer music under the project Minami Deutsch. Before I go, I want to say the last series I hosted was about what people call Afrofuturism, but really for me, like how intuition can unleash imagination. Like by following intuition, we can unleash an invisible world and unleash imagination, and which then presents us with infinite alternate dimensions to engage in and to engage with, alternate dimensions of absolute freedom created through art and whatnot, and in dimensions of freedom created by people who are living in extreme violence. So there's something extremely powerful about intuition, imagination, and the ability to transcend into other dimensions. And in speaking of the power of intuition unveiling this incredible invisible world, today I build on these ideas with something I learned very beautifully from Damo. Damo always tries to go back to ground zero. For example, he might give you an opinion today, but he will tell you that tomorrow I might have a different one, because he's always going back unlearning. When he plays a show, for example, they book him and they bring local musicians that he doesn't know, he's never met, nothing. And on stage is the first time he engages with them. Totally unplanned, but he just goes from ground zero and starts from there. He calls it the natural way. I like that. I might incorporate those words in my imaginary children's book. So going back to zero, following the natural way at all times. I find this very powerful, very liberating, and it reminds me of Austin Osman Spare's neither concept that's called neither neither. I once heard someone describe neither neither as from a painting by Austin Osman Spare, where it was a flower, but when you look closer, it was dead birds. So it was a flower, but it was also not a flower, it was dead birds. And it was dead birds, but it was also not dead birds, it was a flower. And how everything is kind of like this. And the more we break down absolutes in our ideas, the more free we become. And the more open we become. And this ability to always break down our opinions, and it can be so liberating to this blank slate, liberating from often debilitating opinions and judgments we have, but on ourselves, on what's around us, and judgments on others. Also, a lot of these opinions they kind of predefine future decisions, and by going back to zero, we follow what he calls the natural way, and that can unveil very unexpected, magical, beautiful paths. So it's very liberating, this ground zero, and this is why I'm presenting this after the series on Afrofuturism. Okay, so enough rant. Let's move on with the show and speak soon. Much love. الحب الحب.
5 brilliant individuals can combine the influences of the European avant-garde, jazz and minimalism.
Coltrane was founded in 1968. That was the year of the kind of student revolutions in Germany. A mental revolution happened at that time. The war was definitely finished, and the old way of thinking had to be destroyed. We did not try to play rock and roll because we knew it's not the thing we are born with, and we have to find our own way.
Key to Cannes' driving sound was the drumming of Jackie Liebertzeit, who had been Germany's top jazz drummer, until he had an epiphany.
A guy came to me and said, you must play monotonous. So, he said it with the voice and with the expression, so I was quite impressed. So, I don't know, it was a kind of freak. Maybe he had taken a LSD trip or something. He was completely, I don't know, strange. And I started thinking about it. To play monotonous. What did he mean, monotonous? So I started to repeat things.
We played live in Munich, had a concert there, which was a sold-out concert. And I was sitting in the afternoon with Jackie Liebetzeit, with the drummer, in a cafe. And suddenly I saw someone coming up the street, in the middle of the street, and were praying to God and getting down to the street and behaving very strange. And I said to Jackie, we have our new singer.
Damo Suzuki. And nomad in the 21st century, traveler, hippie but not really hippie, metaphysical transporter, human being.
I went to Damo and said, "What are you doing tonight?" He said, "Oh, nothing. I don't have anything to do. Like, do you want to become singer in a concert? Sold out." Yes, and where do we make a rehearsal? I said, "No rehearsal. No. You go on stage and then you sing. Don't worry." Damo was first like a samurai, but a very peaceful one. But suddenly, out of nothing, he broke out in an eruption like a volcano. And the people got so aggressive. Oh, let's say about 30 people were left. Among them was David Niven. And they asked him, "Mr. Niven, what do you think about this music?" He said, "It was great, but I didn't know it was music."
Yeah, you can hear me?
Hi!
Ah, that is good. How I can say, so so you are already 9 o'clock or something? What time is it?
No, right now I am in Montreal for just
You
a
are
few
in Montreal.
for just for a few months, but I will go back soon.
Yeah. So
Just
you are in Canada. I thought
yeah,
Mhm.
because if you are Arabic, your passport you don't exist.
Yeah.
So my parents put me on a project to get a passport. So I'm just here a few months to get the paper and come back.
So and after then you have but you are quite isolated and you cannot travel easy from Palestine to another places. Oh.
My father, he grew up in Palestine. I grew up in Jordan. But a lot of my friends, yes, they are in Palestine. They cannot travel easily. They have to. All of my friends in the West Bank, they cannot. They cannot access the airport. They have to come to Jordan. But in a way that created something nice. It made it so that because they always have to come to Jordan, I mean, it's horrible for them, but because they have to come to Jordan, we became very close to them. No, but it's nice, like the community in the area is coming together. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, I guess so, yes, because especially in this area, it's probably for me the most interesting part of the world, so it's quite interesting. But I must say one time, so if there is some possibility, I like to go there, and because I'm also very interested in the histories.
Well, you have a home if you want to come. Yeah. I will be back maybe April.
So and so what are you doing in normally? So you are artist or?
No, well, in life now I'm working with in healthcare with older people. But in what I do, I curate. I used to curate events and shows, but I always did shows with values. Like I didn't want to do, like you said once, that there is art that belongs to this, like that doesn't belong to the system, and then there's art that belongs to the system, right? And then when the show stopped, I thought, why don't I make this show on and host artists that break the system, not the break
Yeah.
that express from outside of the system.
Yeah, for me, it's so I'm not so much interested to key on systems because it's not me.
Yes.
Because so I'm living since maybe my teenage. I'm living quite. I'm living like what I like to do, and I'm not so much interested to take so much informations because information is the most dangerous weapon, and you can see it now. So there is many lies all over the world. So I don't trust this any kind of stories, and also in USA. So main media is presenting really fake news, you know.
Yeah.
So this is the most important is so you find yourself. So anyway, so as a human being or I don't say artist because for me the main thing is as a human being. If for me is if a human just a person is a very interesting person, for me it doesn't matter what kind of art he's making. So
For people who will listen to this and who don't know, like Damo, you go to cities and you play with bands that you've never played before, completely uncompromised and unprepared, right? So there's an energy that you create and with the people, but at the same time, I think that you also don't change who you are for the audience, right? You don't
no,
like,
no, yes. If I change myself, it's already not naturally.
yeah,
So this thing with so I have information too, you know, so much because I have my DNA. So I
yeah,
cannot change this one. So I go there. But if there's a two-person to make a music, so there is a three identities already or ideas. So that's the thing is so communication. So if we have a really good communication, then there is not fighting and battles. And so we actually, so people to people, folk to folk, we don't have so much communication. Before we talk, they have already answered. So I cannot go together with this folk or this kind of the person. So they have already information which is not they had been experienced by themselves. So mainly people is taking just
yeah,
information from somewhere, also from DNA. So Japanese people don't like Chinese people or Korean people, also something like that is staying like this. But I don't say I'm not thinking like this. So I'm thinking much more like so all people came from Mesopotamia. So and everybody is every folk is spirited so all over the all over the world. So I'm thinking and I'm believing this one because I'm believing in the Bible. So if you are believing in the Bible, you have already really good solution to believe and trust in the people. So if without the trust, you cannot make any kind of communication. It's a beginning that I must be myself a little bit respect to another people, you
yeah.
know. And that's the beginning. If you don't have any kind of respect, so then you cannot create anything.
You said but when we started talking that when I said you make music or creativity that doesn't belong in the system, and then you said because I don't belong in the system. But do you think anyone belongs in the system, or are they just brainwashed into the system?
Yeah, maybe so brainwashed, but I don't like to say like this, but I think quite brainwashed because as I told you, because everybody is getting any kind of information. If you are eating, for instance, if you take a coffee, this coffee is much better. Maybe you heard from TV or something like this, and this coffee is good, and you try it, and then try it, and you find it good. Then there is already manipulation. It's there. Beginning was already manipulation, but just everything is shut out, and you make maybe your own policy or philosophy or something like that. I take only organic coffee, and I like to support from local product, and this is the beginning of the things which you can make it, because I like to have this kind of substance in my music making. That's why I'm traveling to another place and I perform together with local musicians, and So we make a new art, kind of the music at the spot, and actually local music. So that I like to make it. I'm not so much interested to make with so much commercial or something like that. So, or splitting information. For me, it's enough. Damo Suzuki is coming to town and he's all the time making music together with domestic musicians, and it's his platform, you know. And for me, it's enough. I don't need, I have such a big hit from so and so on. So that's why people is coming, and this is kind of already a business, and also it's kind of tourism. Some band, big named band, the people is going there because they know name from somewhere, even they don't know the songs, but it's okay. So I must see them, and it's almost like a tourism. So if you visit London and take a photo in front of the Tower Bridge or something like that, and you send share to the people, hey, I'm in London, you know, it's it's the same kind of thing. So I like people is coming to my concert without knowing anything, and this people like to make a platform of moment together with us, and make something special things for together in a every evening with different places. So this is for me the for my kind of music making, because I'm not so sentimental to make all the time album or CDs or something like that. I don't like to say CDs. If snake is dying, they left skins, but I don't like to left any kind of music. Just I like to have so people can come to the concert own experience, and this is you cannot compare with another kind of concert. So for me, it's enough. We had a good time for now with you. So we are talking together. So 16th of January 2021. So we have a special time. This is for me is the most important thing, and I can believe. And this is a real information I can really trust, and so. But
Yeah.
other thing is, okay, if I experience, then it's okay. But if I don't experience, I don't like to talk so much things because I don't know.
Yeah. So sometimes when people do take their own natural path and away from um, the system tries to punish them. So people call them crazy or madmen, or the parents are upset. Or
Mm.
so, when did you start to feel like you're different, and how did society act towards that before and now and always? Like,
I think quite young I was, so because I was not so much interested in be in a group
yeah.
for my school age. So I used to paint comics, and I wanted to comic painter.
Mm.
And I was quite always isolated because I was living in a small city, and uh, almost nobody was interesting about Western music, for instance.
Yeah.
Or nobody was maybe not able to buy, or maybe not so much interest to have kind of trendy stuff. So I was quite quite manipulated, maybe brainwashed that time for Western culture that time. So I found the Japanese culture when I left Japan first. But
When did you leave again?
when I was 18 years old, just one
Okay.
day after my birthday, also tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
No, no, 17th, yeah,
Yeah.
17th. So,
Tomorrow.
I left Japan, so 1968. So
Cool.
it's a totally different time like now. So that time there is not so much airplane, and so people was traveling much more with a ship. So I can travel. I didn't have much money, and I was not allowed to take so much money that time. I had only 20,000 Japanese yen and only 500 US dollar. So I traveled to Russia, then to Finland, then to Sweden, and I stayed in Sweden for almost 2 years. Then after I didn't have any money, but I made music on the street in Europe also. France, Germany, Denmark, and also then almost half year stayed in Ireland. So since 1970, I'm living in Germany by accident.
But how did your parents feel, or your friends? Did they say, "Oh, this man is crazy" or something, or they're fine? They were okay or supportive?
No, actually, so they didn't think so I'm crazy or something like that. Maybe they are curious about sort of what
Oh,
I
nice.
do.
Because sometimes parents don't support when their children are a
No,
bit.
yes, because I didn't have a parents because my father was died when I was 5 years old.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
just no, no, it's okay. It's the wrong
Mhm.
thing. And yeah, just I had my mother and so three brothers and sisters, and so I was quite free because I'm not the oldest son. So I'm the second one. So second one has always so freedom, all brotherhood, so always. So
Mhm.
I enjoyed this, and also my father was so died quite early. So I didn't have anybody who influenced me my life. So that's why I quit my school because I found so school is quite boring and I didn't like a teacher and so so things because if you are Japanese, so you go to very best kindergarten, then very best junior school, then very best high school, and so on. So your life is already oriented to work in a very good company, and if you don't get this course, then you are a loser. So it's
Yeah.
already systems. So I really didn't like this kind of thing. So if I like to study in a school, if I have a really interest to study something, then I do. But I don't like to get studied because I like to have a good position in
Yeah.
company or something like this. So because it's not my life.
Yeah, a lot of the discussions I'm having are coming to a children's book. And in my
Yeah.
children's book, I start with how we are born and how in the system, it's like an assembly line. You know, an assembly
Mhm.
line, like
Mhm.
car factory, everyone puts a piece here. So
Mhm.
humans are like on an assembly line and they're just being fed. But then comes a moment where, with curiosity, you start to want to leave the assembly line
Mhm.
and the journey begins. And some of the things that I point out that keep people in that assembly line is like, one is like the system gives
Mhm.
you security.
Yeah. And the
Uh,
comfort, yeah.
Comfort is another one. Yeah,
Yeah,
comfort.
yeah. So I don't like comfort.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like I like always adventure, kind of adventure. So that's why when I was 45 or something like this, I went two times. I went to Sahara. So I went to West Africa with
Oh,
just with a
yeah, yeah. I
rucksack.
saw that. Amazing to yeah,
Yeah, yeah, just alone.
yeah.
So
Wow. And
I really like to travel alone because if you are traveling alone, you can learn many things, and people also, if you are alone, people is also easy to speak with me. So but if
yeah,
you
yeah.
are two person, for these people it's also quite difficult to so contact. But if
Yeah,
I'm
I
alone.
like to travel alone too. Or if I'm meeting someone, I go before they arrive, and then I have some days, and then I meet someone.
And that is also always good if you have appointment at 9 o'clock or something like that. Then I go already 8 o'clock
Yeah, yeah,
because if you are there for 8 o'clock at that time, maybe you have a very interesting experience. You never know. And if you get boring, you can make window shopping or something like that. Then you can find something interesting things. So I like
yeah,
to take my time as I like to enjoy all the time. So it's
yeah. So,
it's
so in
kind of luxury, so because many people is not like this, but I just like to enjoy my time. It's not much if I make a music, or if you make maybe if I watch football or something like that. I like to just enjoy, and I don't need any kind of information. Just I enjoy. So if I travel to place like Venice in Italy, so many people is walking main street, you know,
yeah,
but I don't go to main street. I just go to sidewalks and watch at them. Nobody is there, but same city, but
yeah, yeah.
nobody. nobody there, but I have opportunity to know real Italy than
Yeah.
tourists. Tourists
Yeah.
is walking same street always.
Yes, in my children's book, also like in the assembly line and in the system, we use logic,
Mm,
but in when you take the separate path, you use your intuition.
mm,
And I feel like you are someone strongly guided by intuition, both in how you live, because intuition, even
mm,
when you are in the creative flow and you
mm,
make music, I think you're guided by intuition. It's
mm.
like a sense and an intelligence. And also when you're in the moment, it's like an eye almost, an intelligence, like intuition is very powerful, don't you think? Like your intuition.
I don't know because the start of the music is just for zero and nothing by me by me. So I I start from just empty. Things is so you have already so before you do so no, you have your personality and also DNA and so some information already you have and but another things I really don't like to have anything in my head because if I have already in the head, it's already planned. So
Yeah, yeah,
I don't so if I play with the people, so for instance, one day it's if it happens in a if I perform together with in a Palestina with the boys and girls from Palestina together, if
yes,
I have this opportunity, I don't talk about the music before the concert,
yeah,
just
yeah,
yeah, because if I instead I like to speak about what is popular food in Palestine and what is the people is living like this, and so for me it's much more interesting, and for me it's so start of the music is not music itself as a communication between the musicians. So
yeah. I think what I meant is something separate. Like I meant it's not about music or anything. Intuition for me is the feeling of my body in a
mm,
particular moment and just being true to this moment, not to something in the brain or not to. It's just like look at like my intuition like feels like look at the moon or just how I really feel in that moment, like being truly in the moment and
yeah,
letting the moment decide what happens, not anything outside of the moment.
yeah, it's the same. It's
Yeah,
same.
yeah,
So I just like so natural flow, So
yeah,
I just leave it because if there is so five people is coming and playing together, this and make a music together with me. This is already it's a great power, great energy because we are going to have some time together. This is the best moment I can enjoy, and also audience is coming, and we make and with audience music together because we like to make a platform, not the music itself. So
I have
just
a very weird question.
yeah.
Sometimes I like to do this. There is like between when I'm awake and when I'm asleep,
Mm.
I play music or I listen or I and then I start to see energies and color. And do
Mm.
you see energy or no? I feel like I can sometimes see like the
Yeah,
energy.
sometimes I can see it. Sometimes
Yeah,
I can see it. So many people in audience can find it because
yeah,
it's not written in a note, and nobody's tried these pieces, but this is a birth of this song. So the birth of this
the
song,
birth of it.
they
Yeah,
can experience on and the musicians on the stage is also this is the first piece we make together. So it's a really different experience than any kind of the band or artist playing 200, 300 times same pieces. So it's
yeah.
a totally
So
different.
the word experience is very powerful in your art and your being and experience.
Yes,
The
yes, because experience is
everything.
no, experience is just the beginning of the truth.
Yeah,
So you don't need any kind of information from magazine or broadcasting or radio or anything like that. But if you have this experience, then you can tell your word, and it's yourself.
yeah.
So we must be open to everybody. That means a good conversation, communication. is just everybody talking from experience. So I had a so really good so things so experienced.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I go to Africa, West Africa, so some of the villages they don't have any newspaper. Of course, people cannot read, and they don't have a radio, they don't have a TV, but they have water, and the people is coming together, and where the water is washing, and the kids is playing into the water, and this is a meeting place for them, and they are talking about many things that happened. So like a yellow Japanese people like me is suddenly in the middle in Africa with all black people, and then they can say many things. Oh, where is he's coming? Oh, maybe he's dangerous. He eat us or something like this. So you never know. And this is a really so experience for them, and it's so they maybe they one of them can whole of life they can talk about this because it's a reality, and the reality is most more stronger than anything else. So that's why so reality to make something is always good.
Yeah. So,
If I don't have any plan, so
so when you are performing and when you're in the flow, in the very deep in the flow,
Mhm.
how far do you go in the flow? You know, I think that the flow can take you somewhere really, really, really far when you're deep. Like if
Uh,
you
quite often I'm not there.
not
I'm
in, yes, you go somewhere else, right?
somewhere else, but I don't know where it is. But I feel like somewhere else.
Yeah.
But so I'm not there, and I'm not somewhere there because my audience is really warm people. So who is coming to this kind of people is always interesting people, and they are so they are having warm feeling, and they keep me to stay on the stage. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyhow, I'm there. So, but I'm really good feeling. So sometimes as for this happiness, I'm crying too on the stage.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's
So
you cry.
it
Yeah.
comes really comes into the skin, so really so energy. So
Yeah, Alice Coltrane, she has two album names. One is Transcendence, you know, when
mm,
you transcend, and
mm,
one is Transfiguration, is like when you lose your physical state and you become like a beautiful state. Like you lose your physical, even though you're here, but you could lose it. And John Coltrane, he once said about improvising, he said, it comes to a point when you're watching yourself play. It's like he's like, I could see myself playing, and
true.
he's like,
No, it's true. It's true. No, now I thought, oh yeah, it's true. It's true.
yeah.
Suddenly you are watching at yourself.
So, if someone asked you to sing or something in a specific way, like we want you to make an advertisement or a pop song or for money, would you do it?
No, I think I'm not able to do this. So it's not a
Yeah,
matter of that I can make it or not. I cannot make it. Just I'm not able to for things like this. So
yeah, yeah.
because already you are seeing some many money, or or if you make a commercial song or something like that, so washing powder or something like that, so you have another image, so it's another world, and that I'm not flexible enough. If I make a music, I make just music, so I cannot communicate combined with another kind of art, or so I'm not flexible enough. So because I'm Damo Suzuki, so I'm not flexible.
Yeah.
I'm just Damo Suzuki.
So, and yes, and so what's that connection? There's a very strong connection. I feel like, obviously, I think we all feel this way. The freedom of someone and the art of someone and the way they live is all connected. It all, I think, comes down to personal freedom and freedom of our spirit.
Yeah, I think must be, but it's better not to try to be like this. It must come a natural way, because so it's maybe easy for me. Don't
Yes,
think any kind of so I
to
can
just
say
be who you are.
yeah. So I cannot be anybody else.
Yeah.
So if we wake up and you cleaning teeth and face and something like that, in front of the mirror, you can see yourself, not somebody else's face. So I have responsibility for this face today. No. Then in the night, I come back to the
Yeah.
bathroom and watch myself. Oh, it was really good day. Oh, I'm so very thanks to God and thanks to Damo Suzuki. So because I enjoy this day so much. It's so this person is standing in front of me in the mirror, and it's okay. So it's not
Yeah. And
yeah.
this is why I say, and I've heard you say this, that the people who express freely from their inner heart, like you said, that creative things that don't belong in a system, they are timeless. They don't belong in a time, because when you are doing something within the system, or the system is asking you or expecting you, or then the system dies or the trend dies, and the work dies with it. But when someone really is expressing from inside,
Mm,
truly from inside, then
mm,
it becomes timeless.
yeah.
And I think that when it becomes timeless, then like people in future generations can listen. Like, for example, there's artists that don't live today that I
Mm,
consider them like my chosen ancestors. Like, we
mm,
start to learn from them.
mm.
They empower us. And then so I think in the end, like, when people express from inside, it ends up making the world a better place.
Yeah, sure. Sure, that's it. So,
Yeah.
so,
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Nice to
so
meet you.
she's very curious about.
You. Okay,
It's a problem.
I guess that should be enough. Like, yeah. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
I don't know. So actually, so but if you find something, so maybe you can make it again or something like that if you have time. Also, it's okay. So at
What
the
do you
moment,
mean?
if you have the time, we can make it again. So
Oh, like a discussion? Sure.
yeah. So it's okay. I don't force you, you know. So because I don't know, maybe I forget something, but if I forget something, it's a part of me too, you know, because I cannot remember so much things really good. I'm always forgetting many things. So sometimes I don't know where I am, you know. So and
Yeah. Me
so
too.
yeah, it's a part
My
of me.
memory's never been good. I've never been good with anything to do with memory.
Yeah, but it's okay. So it's you, you know. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
sometimes you can laugh about yourself. So that's really good if you can laugh about yourself. But
yeah,
somebody cannot laugh about themselves because they don't know themselves. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
No, no, yeah,
that's
yeah.
not good.
I don't. Yeah, not only I laugh about myself, but I've been even like writing down things I want to improve in myself, and like what are the things that I like and what I don't like, and like really to become a better person.
Mm.
Like, I feel like it's very important for us to try to become better people on this earth.
Yeah, sure. For each one of them, it's our mission.
Yeah,
For
you think?
everybody. Yeah, everybody's mission is so trust. Then if that get done better, then trust in the people and respect in the people and make much more communication and not so many hours in front of TVs and just experience
Experience.
own
Yeah.
experience and this is things and this is
And
so
be honest with yourself, with who you
yeah, yeah,
are, and with
sure.
the moment.
Yeah. So if you are honest to yourself, then you are honest to another people too. So it's a
Yeah.
beginning is always yourself. So all beginnings. But if you must try to fight against your inner negative solution. So everybody has a mistake anyhow. No,
Yeah.
and you fight with this. So and this is your mission. So to understanding another people, you must be better with yourself, and you must be satisfied with yourself, and you must be very thankful that you have this life. So you are having respect to yourself, but not too much ego, but the respect, then you can shine yourself, and you can talk to the people and make much more communication with, and you can make many things. You don't have to fear about anything. You are always creative, like God works. God is so creative. So this opportunity you must make, and this is our mission, everybody's.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
yeah, thank you so much. And
Anytime you want, if you want to talk again, let me know. I'm happy to talk
yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, much love.
Yeah, much love.
Bye bye and talk
Bye
soon.
bye. Yeah, see you.